Hello everyone and welcome to Hydromantis webinar. Today we are going to talk about some of the new features and improvements that have been made in our newly released version of Toxchem version 4.2. If you have some questions, please type them in the question box there and send it to us, and after the webinar we'll be taking some of those questions. My name is Rajiv Goyal, and I'm the Vice President of Technology at Hydromantis, and I'm also looking after the development of Toxchem. First of all, just to give you a little bit of general information about the general purpose and applications of Toxchem. Toxchem is a tool which is normally used to predict the fate of organic compounds and metals in wastewater collection and treatment systems, to assess the emissions in air stream, water stream, and the sludge stream. So for any plant, if you have kind of organic compounds which are coming into the wastewater, you can use Toxchem to find the fate of those compounds in the wastewater as it passes through the wastewater treatment system. All the models in Toxchem are based on mass balance models, in which we consider the competing processes of adsorption, which could be adsorption on the solids, it could be adsorption on powdered activated carbon, or it could be adsorption on oil. Also, there are several volatilization processes. For example, surface volatilization, diffuse aeration stripping, the surface volatilization due to mechanical aerators, and also there are aerobic and anaerobic biodegradation processes due to which the contaminants could be degraded in the system. Toxchem has been used in the industry since 1991. It has been accepted by US EPA for reporting emissions coming out from the wastewater treatment plants. It has a very extensive set of unit processes for modeling wastewater treatment plant systems. Also, it has extensive chemical property database. Toxchem is a steady-state calculation tool, and it's used to perform steady-state calculations. The application of Toxchem, the typical applications of Toxchem are for regulatory reporting of volatile organic carbons and hazardous air pollutant emissions as required from the EPA Clean Air Act amendments and SARA reporting requirements. It is also used for planning, designing, and optimization of wastewater treatment plant processes to reduce the air emissions. Also, you can also use Toxchem to actually make studies for the biosolid disposal management. Just to give you a little bit of a background about the evolution of Toxchem. There was Toxchem version 3.3 until 2010, at which point we took a major overhaul of the process of the tool, and we came up with a new version, version 4, with a very updated user interface and some of the updates with the models as well. So this was released in May 2011. We had another release in 2012, version 4.1. And this month we have released the latest version, version 4.2, in which we have added some new features and improvements. Just to let you know about some of the new features that have been added to version 4.2, there are a number of new unit processes that have been added. So here I'm showing 6 unit processes which are part of Toxchem version 4.2 now. The first 5, which are sludge drying, solid conveyor, incinerator, fly ash, and settling pole, they are the unit processes for modeling the solid handling facilities in a wastewater treatment plant. Also, we have added a new unit process which is a control splitter, and this is a useful object in situations where you have the downstream flows which are constant or independent of the upstream flows. So you can use this splitter object for having a constant supply of flow rates down the stream from this pump. So with this new objects, we have extended the capability of Toxchem to model solid handling processes in a process flow diagram. And also we have extended the functionality to estimate the particulate or the dust and metal emissions in airstream from the solid processes. So in addition to volatile organic carbon emissions in the airstream, you can also model particulate dust and metal emissions from solid processes now. Also, we have added a new absorption mechanism. As I said before, we modeled the absorption of volatile organic compounds onto volatile suspended solids, oil, and powdered activated carbon. But in the new release, we also added another absorption mechanism, which is absorption to dissolve organic carbon of natural origin. So this is kind of reported to be one of the kind of important phenomena in certain situations. So we thought, well, we will add this one in case some of the people are interested in modeling the absorption of VOCs onto the natural organic compounds in wastewater. The absorption property which is required for absorption onto DOC is modeled using this expression here. And the values of A and B coefficient are coming out from a relationship which has been proposed by Kim and Kwon. And as you can see in this relationship, we are estimating the property of absorption of dissolved organic compound with respect by using the water octanol partition coefficient, which is one of the properties of a compound in our database. Also, we have made some improvements in the database. So as you can see, we have added absorption property for the absorption to the dissolved organic compounds. If you check this box, then you can directly enter the value of absorption. But if you don't, if you uncheck this box, then the value of absorption is estimated by using octanol water partition coefficient given in this field here. We have also added the vapor pressure and boiling point of compounds, and these properties are being used in the dryer object. So in the object of the dryer for solids, the model implemented in that particular object uses the vapor pressure and boiling point of volatile organic compounds. So that's why we had to add these two additional properties in the database. Also, we have made several improvements with respect to interface. We have now a quick adjust panel, which is a panel to actually change the parameter values. For example, on the right-hand side, we have a panel where you can put the parameters which you normally change in the model, so that you don't have to go around the objects and opening different menus and changing it there. So once you place those parameters onto quick adjust panel, you can just change the values there and run your simulation studies quickly. Also, we have increased the grid size. By grid size, what we mean is the number of objects you can place on the drawing board. So we have had some situations in which some of the layouts were bigger than the number of objects you can place. There was a certain limit of 30 by 20. So 600 objects in 4.1, but now you can change the grid size according to your needs. So you can have any grid size like 50 by 50, so you can place 2,500 objects if you want to. Also, we have added another feature, which is to add the user notes. So for example, if you make a change to a certain parameter, then you can also write down a note explaining why there was a need to change that parameter, so that somebody later on reviewing the model, they can look at those changes and those comments and understand why those changes were made. Also, we have added another feature, which is a picture replacement for icons. So in Toxchem, we have the standard icons, which are part of the software. But in case you want to replace these icons with some pictures which you take of your plant. For example, if you take a picture of activated sludge process in your plant, then you can replace that picture with the icons, the standard icons which are built into Toxchem. Also, we have added the feature of unit conversion for outputs. So this was some a little bit of a kind of a pain for some people because the outputs were coming out in a certain format, and sometimes when you wanted to convert those outputs into different units, there was no way to do that in 4.1, so we added this feature. Also, we have made some enhancement to backsolver, and while doing all these changes, we have ascertained that the back version compatibility is maintained. That is, the layout which you have created in version 4.0, 4.1, those layouts can be imported into version 4.2 without any problem. Now I'd like to give you a demonstration of Toxchem version 4.2 and highlight some of the features I have mentioned just now. So this is the user interface. As you can see now, the change is that it has a quick adjust panel on the right-hand side, which of course you can do away by pressing these triangles here. You can put it on, put it off. Also, we have placed these triangles here, so if you want to maximize the drawing board, you can do that. So you can bring it on, bring it off. So also with respect to the new objects, if you go, we have created a new tab, biosolids handling here. So if you go here, you can see all the 5 unit processes which I mentioned: sludge drying, incinerator, conveyor, fly ash, dust removal, and the settling cone. With respect to the control splitter, we have it on this miscellaneous tab, so you can access it from the miscellaneous tab here. Now I'm going to just load a Toxchem layout which I prepared for this webinar. So in this layout, you can see that we have a standard activated sludge process with a digester for solid treatment, having a belt press filter here, and after that we have added the new unit processes that we created, like sludge drying, conveyor, incinerator, and the fly ash units. All of these unit processes have their input parameters here, and some of the input parameters, for example, for the sludge dryings are operating temperature, which might affect the volatilization of organic compounds, also the solid content in the cake, and also you can specify how much of the solids can be lost as dust into the airstream. Also, these processes can be modeled as open or the closed processes. So for example, in this particular example, this is a closed process. Now if I run this model, we can see that it solves, and you can see the outputs. For example, if we click on this one, we can see the output for this object, and if we look at the effluent air, you can see in addition to the chemical mass, we also have the solid, total suspended solid concentration in the airstream. So this is something new, because earlier you were only able to model the volatile organic carbons, but now you can also see the dust emissions from the processes. So for example, here if we come, then this is a fly ash cleaning object, and here also again we can see how much of the total suspended solids are going out into the airstream. Again, I mentioned that we have a new adsorption process. So to implement that new adsorption process, we had to create a new state, which is the wastewater DOC. So by default, we have kept the value as 0. So by keeping a value of 0, we are keeping it compatible with the previous version. So if you import a layout from a previous version, and if this value is 0, the value of DOC will automatically be 0, and then when you run your layouts, it's going to produce the same outputs what you had from your previous version. Also, to show you the database changes, so if we go to the database and look at the organic chemical database, for example, for a model compound test 1, you can see that you can add now the vapor pressure properties or the boiling point of these compounds here. Also, for absorption, you have you can check this mark and enter the absorption properties for this compound onto the DOC, dissolved organic carbon originating from natural sources. Or if you unclick this one, then the relationship proposed by King and Kohn will be used to estimate the KDOC parameter. Now, with respect to the interface improvements, like I said, we have the quick adjust panel here. So you can see that some of the parameters like the flow rate from the influent is part of this quick adjust. So for example, if you click on this one, if you click on this object, it highlights where to what unit process this parameter belongs to. For example, if you click on this one, it highlights the activated/diffusion system. So you can see that the process airflow rates are belonging to this object here. Now, to add new parameters to this quick adjust, we will quickly add one parameter from anaerobic digester. For example, right-click on this one, go to Edit Parameters, and if we want to add temperature to this quick adjust, we right-click on this one and say Pin to Quick Adjust Toolbar. So as soon as we say that, you can see that this temperature variable has been added to the quick adjust panel here. Press Adjust and select this one, and you can also add a label like, like an anaerobic digester, for example. So if you click on this setting button on the right-hand side here, you can say add a label, and then you can say the name of this label. So if you are selected this, if you had already selected this variable, then it will automatically prompt you to the unit process where it came from. So it's like anaerobic digester. So if you say OK, then it will create a label for this one. So now this variable coming from anaerobic digester is available here. So if you click on this one, it highlights that this variable belongs to this particular unit process. So now if we make a change here, for example, if we make it from 35 to 40, you can see that if we go to this, you will see that this variable changes there. So if you make a change here, this variable changes again here. So now just by changing all of these variables here, you don't have to go click on different objects and change those variables. So sometimes you know in your plant what variables are changing, and having them on the quick adjust panel provides you a quick way to change those variables and run your simulation. Another feature that we have added is that you can export these variables to a file. For example, if you say export to a file, then it asks you where you want to export it. So for example, if we go here and we select a file, which is already a pre-existing file, we say save, then it says file exists, overwrite, yes. And if we go to see that file, you can see the structure of that file, which is generated by the export. And you can certainly change this variables here, and you can save it in an output file, and then import that file again into your quick adjust panel. So for example, I already have a file which I can import, which is a file output in which I've changed the flow rates and the suspended solid concentrations or the temperature here. So it's like 36 degrees here now, so that temperature is read into this one. So you can certainly change all these variables in a file and import all those things into this quick adjust. At the same time, you can export those variables as well. Another feature which we have added is you can change the way your icons look. For example, if you right-click on this one and you go edit labels, there is a default image, but you can attach a new image there. So, for example, activated sludge, open, and you add that image here. Again, you can do that for clarifier. For example, you go to clarifier, go browse, there's a clarifier image here. You can open and accept, so it changes into that. Also, you can maybe change the picture for the digester. So now with these changes, your layout starts to look like this. It might give you a little bit of a better idea how the plants look and what you're modeling as such. So this is just a kind of a cosmetic thing, but it might give you a little bit of a better understanding when you're explaining this flow diagrams to a person who has never seen your plant. Also, another new feature which we have added is to add notes. For example, if you go to edit parameters and, for example, if you have changed the surface area for this unit process, you can certainly go here and add a note. So based on new data or whatever is that note. And once you add that note, you can see that the thing changes here, the icon structure change here, which shows you that there is a note inside. And if you just hover over this one, it shows you the note based on new data. So this is another way of keeping your model up to date with comments so that other people can understand it better. With respect to the grid size, now you can change the grid size by going to layout and going to resize grid. So when you go resize here, you can see that right now the column and rows are 30 by 20, but you can change it to, for example, 40 by 60 by 40 or something like that. And by that, you will be able to place 2,400 objects into your new layout. So this gives you a flexibility with respect to modeling larger layouts. Also, just to show you the unit conversion in the output windows. So for example, if you go view results, now you can change this outputs. Basically, you can change into different units. Earlier, this was just expressed in a fixed unit until version 4.1. This is pretty useful when you want to know, you want to convert this number from one unit to another and compare with somebody else. So it kind of gives you an easy way to just communicate information when you are, for example, talking with people who are using the models in different units. So this is kind of explains most of the important changes which we have made in version 4.2. And with this, I would like to finish this demo here and go back to the slides here. So also, I would like to highlight some of the other Hydromantis products which we have. Our other products are GPSX, which is a dynamic wastewater treatment process simulation and optimization tool, and can be used to model the organic compounds and nitrogen and phosphorus in wastewater treatment plants. Also, another tool which we have is CAP.Works, which is a preliminary design and costing of wastewater treatment plants. WattPro, which is a tool for modeling drinking water treatment plants, and could be used to optimize your disinfection needs at a wastewater treatment plant. Also, some of the services, Hydromantis Professional Services. We also, in addition to software development, we are also involved in water and wastewater treatment plants modeling studies, studies related to model setup, model calibration, model validation, quality assurance, and those kind of stuff. Also, we are involved in some of the custom model developments for clients. Also, we do standard and custom trainings. We are also involved in research and development projects. Also, one of our other kind of product is SimuWorks, which is a kind of custom operator training simulators using GPSX platform. So if you find any needs for any professional services, you can always contact us. And with this, thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any further questions, you can call me at, you can write to me at email address, goel@hydromantis.com, or you can also visit our website to seek further information.